Everybody, welcome to Picks on Politics. I am Dan Manarino. So let's get into it. Governor Kathy Hochul and Mayor Zohran Mamdani announcing a big one for this week. More 3K seats, hoping to bring more seats closer to families who need them, cutting down on travel distance, for example. But even though the city has committed to greatly expanding childhood education access, the numbers don't appear to be there for applicants to fill those very seats. Meanwhile, the state has invested more than $1 billion into childcare so far. So after this latest announcement, I had the opportunity to sit down with the executive director of childcare and early childhood education for the mayor's office, Emmy Liss. Today, she is going on the record. And Emmy is joining me now. So great to have you here on Picks on Politics. Good to see you.
Thanks so much for having me.
So let's begin talking about, you had a busy week, a lot of announcements. Let's begin with the announcement you had early in the week about the 2,000 additional seats that were coming online for 3K and how you were able to come up with that number.
Absolutely. So earlier this week, the mayor announced that we are adding 2,000 new 3K seats this fall to make sure that every family in New York City with a 3-year-old has access to a 3K seat that works for them. Earlier this year, the mayor had committed we would expand by about 1,000 seats, and we're excited to have doubled that original commitment as we looked across the city and saw where we have family demand for 3K that has sort of outstripped supply in neighborhoods where families might have received an offer too far from home to commute. Now, as a result of this announcement, they can have access to 3K near them.
Okay, so help me understand something, because the Adams administration prior had always said to me over and over again ad nauseum, every child who wants a seat can get a seat. And then I would go talk to parents and they were saying, well, yes, except I live on the Upper East Side and my seat's in Queens. And so is that why these seats came online this go around, was to fix that very problem?
Absolutely. It is true that every family who applied to 3K got an offer last year, but that includes families on the Upper East Side who are being sent to Chinatown, families in the Bronx being sent to Queens. That's not a real 3K offer. I have a 3-year-old. A 40-minute subway ride with a 3-year-old, I mean, anything more than a couple block walk is challenging.
Yeah, I also have a 3-year-old. I get it.
Yes. And so when we say we want to deliver a universal child care system that works for families, that means 3K seats that families can actually use in their community. And so these 2,000 seats will dramatically reduce the travel time for families and mean that they can actually make use of the program. Yeah,
I feel like that may have got lost in translation a little bit this week because of what happened on Tuesday. The very next day after that announcement were the numbers of the applications that kind of came out and where things were, which showed a bit of a slowdown, I guess, for pre-K and 3K. 94,000 applications submitted this year, which was about 400 fewer than last year, and that number the year before that was 103,000. So what do you attribute the decline in the numbers to?
I think there's a couple different factors we have to look at. So first are just the overall demographics. You know, we've seen shifts in New York City over the last couple years. The birth rate has gone down. So there are fewer kids who were born in 2023 than the years prior, which is the cohort eligible for 3K this year. We also see immigration down, and among immigrant families who are here, just increased fear about engaging with government services. And then we've seen a pattern over the last couple of years that families with children under 6 are twice as likely to leave the city, and that's often because of the cost of childcare, something we're hoping our commitment to universal childcare will ultimately reverse. But so we're starting from a reduced population of 3-year-olds, and if you look at the numbers, so we're still attracting about the same share of 3-year-olds to apply to 3K as in the past, but the total number is smaller. That said, I think we do still have 2 sets of families broadly who aren't necessarily applying. One group of families are those who still don't know about the program, don't know how to apply, may not have access to information. This is families who speak a language other than English, families in shelter, families who are working 3 jobs and are don't have the time to navigate the process. Over the last couple years, we saw a real dismantling of the city's on-the-ground outreach capacity. And so without the staff to go knock doors, be at community fairs, work with community partners, it has been harder to reach those families. So that's something we're rebuilding, and we will continue to work toward between now and the fall. How do we reach those families and ensure they enroll? The other families who I think haven't been applying to 3K are those who lost confidence in the program. It's the families who, like you, heard from their neighbor that they got a 3K offer 3 miles from home last year. And so that family says, well, I need some certainty that I'm going to have a place for my kid to go this fall. And so they don't even engage with the process.
So where are they going?
Engaging in some sort of private care, figuring something out with a family. or they're leaving the city because this just doesn't work for them anymore. And so our hope is that announcements like Mondays, where we're showing families the new seats across the city, that's what's going to rebuild confidence and keep families in the system.
Yeah.
The application numbers are something we take really seriously.
Yeah.
We were encouraged to see that tens of thousands of families applied. We would love to reach even more. For us, the ultimate test, though, is how many families actually enroll this fall.
Right.
And
that's my question for you, because that was my next question. To be clear, that enrollment data hasn't come out yet, that only the application data has, and not everybody who applied is actually going to enroll.
And there are thousands of families who don't ever apply but do enroll. Families who moved to the city late, families who didn't know about the process, families who thought they had other plans, but now that we've opened a center down the block, they're actually a bit more interested in 3K than they were before. And so we will be continuing to do outreach to families all summer long. And the real test in some ways is how many kids show up on the first day of school.
Yeah, how do you rebuild? I mean, if the confidence is gone, and this is a mayor who is very social media savvy, but if somebody, like you're talking about in these other communities, isn't paying attention to social media, how do you rebuild and get to those folks?
Yeah, I think it's a couple things. So there's just the reason the mayor is out talking about 3K and our broader investments in a universal childcare system is because we know that message starts to build on itself and people hear it. I mean, you couldn't go anywhere in January without hearing about 3K and pre-K. And so part of it is just bringing back into the sort of social consciousness that this is something we care about and government is invested in. Then there are physical investments that people see, and it changes the way they think about the program. So we announced our 9th new center on Monday that we're opening. These are buildings that had been vacant over the past couple years, and in the communities where they are, families saw these buildings, knew they had been built or renovated for early childhood services, and they were sitting empty. And so that's a real shift in narrative when families now walk past these centers and see that they're opening this fall. And then I think we have to really rebuild our own ability to do on-the-ground outreach. And so that's something we invested in the executive budget so that we can have folks who are in communities who speak the languages that community members speak, who have relationships with trusted community messengers, with clergy, with others, and so that way we can actually get out and get the message out. And to get the message out even further, for the folks who don't have a 3-year-olds yet but are looking at the new program, 2K, 2,000 seats. It's not a large number, but it is an application that's coming online very shortly. June, right? June 2nd. 2nd is the day to apply for that. Yes, and so for 2K this fall, we are so excited. We're launching the first 2,000 seats, and those are going to be in 5 of the city's school districts. That's District 6 up in northern Manhattan, Washington Heights area, District 10 in the Northwest Bronx, Districts 18 and 23 in Brooklyn, which includes Brownsville, Canarsie, Ocean Hill, and then District 27 in Queens, Rockaways, Ozone Park, Richmond Hill. Families who live in those districts can apply to 2K starting on June 2nd. That application is open until June 26th. And so we're really going to be working over the month of June to get the word out and make sure that families in those communities know we have this amazing new service available. And the funding for that will continue with the governor? So 2K, earlier this year, on just day 8 of the administration, the governor and mayor stood together, and the governor committed over $1 billion in new funding to the city to support the path to universal childcare, and that includes the funding for us to launch the first 2,000 2K seats this fall and expand to another 10,000 seats next year. Good. A lot to talk about. Keep us posted on the enrollment numbers. That's the next part of this whole equation, okay? Emmy, thank you very much. Thanks so much for having me.